Welcome FPL managers, my name's FPL Plug, your plug for all things FPL, and in today's video we're going to be talking how we got on in Game Week 1 and also my Dummies guide to Game Week 2, everything that you need to know. I'm going to try and timestamp the bottom of this video, so if you are looking for a specific section then do feel free to skip ahead, but I'd appreciate if you watch the whole thing. So firstly, how did we get on in Game Week 1 of FPL this year in the 24-25 season? And to be honest, as you can see here, it really didn't go too badly. 72 points all out. There was a few players that could have done a lot better than they did, but also a few players that surprisingly did very, very well. So let's talk about the defence quickly. All three of my defenders did really, really well. Obviously the goalkeeper Henderson not keeping the clean sheet, so didn't do too well, but he did get the save points. But Gvardiol actually looked a lot more attacking than I thought he was going to do with Rico Lewis on the pitch. So I'm really happy to keep him. He's got great fixtures for a fairly long amount of time, so he's going nowhere in my team. Pedro Porro, on the other hand, yes, he was absolutely amazing, scored that goal, but didn't keep a clean sheet against a fairly weak Leicester side, I would say, and also picked up a bit of a niggle at the end of the game, so we'll have to wait and see on Pedro Porro for Ange's press conference to see how he is feeling, and if he's injured, then maybe I do have to start one of my bench options, but we will go on to that soon. And then finally, Gabriel, keeping that clean sheet. That's why we have the Arsenal defence coverage, because they are just arguably the best defence in the league. And even the hard games, they're going to be getting clean sheets. Yes, they did play Wolves, so it's an easier game to keep a clean sheet in. But we'll see this week against Aston Villa just how good that defence is. But moving into the midfield is where I really got disappointed and quite let down by some players, really. Nkunku not even making 60 minutes. We really need to talk about him. Yes, I'm definitely going to be keeping him for this next game. We obviously didn't bring in Nkunku for that Man City game, so I wasn't expecting too much, but to be subbed before 60 minutes isn't very good, especially with Pedro Neto and also now João Felix being brought into the squad. Nkunku's minutes aren't looking too good. However, I do expect him in the easier games to be able to play in more different positions, let's say. So he could play that 10 role, he could play out on the left again, he could even take Jackson's role. However, I do need to keep an eye out on him because he does seem like a big minutes risk at the moment. So yes, I'll be keeping him in for this game against Wolves. However, that may change and I will need to keep an eye on him. Smith Rowe and Rodgers, to be honest, I wasn't expecting too much out of them. Rodgers actually did look really, really good when you watched the game. He passed the eye test, maybe not the data test, but I'm happy having Rodgers in my team at that 5 million price point. And Smith Rowe, he had a hard game, so we'll give him another chance. However, Eze, absolutely amazing. I could not fault Eze. Obviously, we had that really, really poor decision from the referee that we as FPL managers just have to live with. He could have had an absolute monster haul if Edouard wasn't offside by the tiniest of margins as well for that Eze assist. So he ended up on 2 points, but really he could have been on 10, 13 points if he got all the bonuses. But the main man of this game week, Mo Salah, I captained him against Ipswich. They looked really quite scary in that first half. I didn't think it was going to go as well as it ended up doing in the second half, but that is why we have Mo Salah. He is the talisman in that Liverpool team. Obviously, Diaz and Jota have their chances, but when you need those points, Salah will just always come good for you. And finally, in the strike force, Isak didn't do too badly considering the red card, so did get an assist for us. And Haaland actually played quite well. I thought Chelsea played a lot better than the Chelsea fans certainly were giving them credit for. However, Haaland, he's always going to score for you. He's definitely my captain come Game Week 2, and we will get into that very soon. But first, I want to talk about João Quansah. If you have watched my videos, I was very wary of him at the start of the season. That's why he's not in my Game Week 1 team. However, I know a lot of you guys did go for him. So I want to talk about what you should do with João Quansah and who you should maybe be bringing in if you are getting rid of him. Now it's worth noting on Quansah that I am recording this video before any potential price drops. He could drop in price tonight as of recording this video. So if he does drop in price, some of these options may not be an option for you, but I'll try and negotiate all different price points and let you know what the best option for you might be. So I believe that you probably should sell João Quansah now, especially before that price drop. If he hasn't already dropped, then I think the best replacement for João Quansah is Anthony Robertson. He has an absolutely amazing fixtures, but especially in game week 2 with that Leicester game. He's a fairly attacking fullback, not perfect, but still a great FPL option. And similar to Robinson, at that 4.5 price bracket, I feel like Colwill from Chelsea is going under the radar quite a lot, to be honest. I felt like they played quite well. And at just 4.5 million, I think he starts most games. So if you do have any money in the bank or Quansah hasn't yet dropped in price, then you can make that easy switch to Colwill for that really good fixture run. However, if you don't have any money in the bank and João Quansah has dropped in value, so you then need to move on to a 4 million defender because you only have 4.5 million to sell from, I believe going for someone like Ben Johnson will be the best shout. If you don't need to play him this week, and then we can also kind of assess Ben Johnson. He's a fairly risky asset because he did only come on in the 57th minute in that game against Liverpool. However, I do expect him to start most games in that Ipswich team because he was quite a big signing for them, and also a very good football player. But let's move on to my personal transfer plans for game week 2. So as you can see here, this is most likely going to be my starting 11 for game week 2. However, there could be a few changes that we'll get into now. I think with the way my team is looking right now, I don't need to make any transfers, and I'd advise to you, if you can, roll that transfer into game week 2. Give yourself as much flexibility as possible. I feel like for myself, the main thing in FPL and to get you those good ranks is just being as flexible as possible. Keeping that wildcard maybe a little bit later, although now could be a better year to actually use that wildcard earlier and keep hold of the 5 transfers that you can roll over. But if you can roll as many transfers as possible up to that 5 transfer limit, then I would do that, especially in game week 1. You should have planned at least up to about game week 3. So you shouldn't have to make too many transfers unless you do have the likes of Quansah or Barco. Now, I do have one glaring issue in my team, and that is that Pedro Porro is currently on a yellow flag and could be injured going into this game week. However, if you do look on that first place bench option for myself, it is Adam Armstrong, and he actually ended up getting 0.7 XG last game. Bear in mind, Newcastle did have a red card, but that is some really, really strong numbers, especially being that penalty taker for Southampton. I wouldn't actually be opposed for dropping Pedro Porro and just playing Adam Armstrong if, obviously, Pedro Porro is injured. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in game week 2. If you've made it this far into the video, please drop a comment down below. One, let me know that you've got this far, and also any questions that you do have coming into game week 2, and I'll try and answer all of them. But 5 likes is the goal for this video. We've obviously just started the YouTube channel, so we don't have too many subscribers, but if you are watching and not subscribed, I'd really appreciate a subscribe.